Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and it has been a wee minute since me and thee had a footballing conversation, and despite this wave of speculation, rumours and online discussions everywhere regarding the likes of Dessers to Greece, you've got Raskin to anybody who's actually a good team, the fear that brings, and then you've got a large part of the Rangers population that's trying to manifest something regarding Tavernier leaving this football club. I know that's punchy, I know that's the big conversation points, but for me, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I want to talk about. And it's the other guys. And you know, it is a little bit funny because I'm probably bad at my job, because instead of diving into the speculation and the massive rumours that is going around about some of the biggest players in our team, I want to talk about the forgettables, you know, I mean the other guys in the background. But again, there is something that's been sort of going around this grey noggin. It's something that Russell Martin, hopefully we're all calmed down now together, Russell Martin, by the way, but Russell Martin talked about every job he's went into. He's had an idea on a player, or maybe they've been playing pool, or maybe they've been out in the shells, but in every single club he's went into, there has been someone or one player that surprised them, and I thought, by God, there may be a potential couple in this upcoming list of the other guys. So that's what I want to talk about today, right? It's just 5 names, 5 players and 5 Rangers careers that look over, but now Russell Martin's came in and has opened the door for somebody to surprise him. Get any of these? Let's go talk about it. And starting off the old list and this conversation point, I think I'm starting off with a first ballot Hall of Fame forgotten about player, and that is none other than Jose Cifuentes. Do you remember Jose Cifuentes? Because I can't, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't remember if it's Jose or it's Jose, so I'm gone. We either, right? And I swear, I am still scunnered by this guy and this player, because everything we read, everything we saw, the word of mouth of this guy was up to the absolute roof, and we were told to expect big things from numerous sources, numerous reporters and numerous people in and amongst the game. He wasn't a guy in the MLS, he was one of the guys in the MLS that a lot of people put a lot of stock in, and that got my guys like myself and that excited, you know what I mean? We were waiting to see. This was a guy that was a chairman's greed away for joining the likes of Brighton, who have actually got a pretty damn good record of identifying young talents and bringing them in. That's kind of their bread and butter. And then when that fell through, when his greed got the best of him at the very last minute to halt that deal, then we swoop in a year later after Brighton has moved on. I thought we had won a watch, but what did we win? Just disappointment. And you know what the cruelest part of the Cifuentes saga is? Isn't it the fact that the disappointment came because he came here and looked like an absolute shocking player, and you could tell he's never kicked a football before? Because there is a player in there, he had a couple flashes, had a couple wee good moments, had a couple good performances, and it wasn't even the fact that he came here and got a bad injury and that set his career backwards, because that can happen in football, but it was none the stuff on the park, it was all the stuff off it, as he struggled to settle to the city and struggled to settle in Scotland because it was too cold and too rainy. Oh, I'm going to get myself a migraine. And I say that because how much more do Rangers fans need to get actually put through that a guy coming with a great word in mouth that is talked about to be this and supposed to fill an important gap in our midfield gets beat because a couple droplets for the sky and because it isn't as hot as LA. That is cruel, ladies and gentlemen, but the decision was made because he couldn't settle in the country. It was maybe best to move him on elsewhere just to try and get him a bit more comfortable, especially with the turmoil that was going around at that time with Beale and then Clement and all that stuff. It just wasn't going to work out for Cifuentes. He was unsettled off the park, and clearly on the park it was just as chaotic, and what followed was a loan to Brazil where it's warm, ladies and gentlemen. But that warmth bring success? Did it translate to a successful playing season for Cifuentes? Nah, ladies and gentlemen, he played just 9 times in total, really struggled to impact and play, as he also struggled with some injuries. But the year later, we all felt like the loan was right for him, and clearly the football club did as well, because there was an option to buy included in the loan as he went ahead to Greece and joined Eris, where it was expected to mesh like this, and we were expected never to hear the name Cifuentes again, because he's going to go there, stroll it, and they'll end up buying it. Well, half of that happened, ladies and gentlemen, because Cifuentes did go there, and he did stroll it, and he did play really well, but apparently the Greek club isn't interested in spending the moolah. Which means Cifuentes in just over a week and a bit is due to rejoin the Rangers squad for pre-season on the back of a successful loan in which he played 31 times, grabbed the goal and grabbed a cheeky free assist, despite playing in a much deeper role in the team and more anchoring the spine of the squad than maybe necessarily the box-to-box in and around the attacking perspective that I think a lot of people were expecting the like Cifuentes because of his time in the MLS, because of the way he was playing, to be. That's not the real role that he had there, and I've had a lot of translations and I've read a lot of people's opinions based on this lad, and I'm not sitting saying they were calling him a world beater and the best player they've ever seen, but the majority, ladies and gentlemen, he was solid to good, and as a loanee coming in there to play a year, there's some that are disappointed that he's not being kept on. So again, I can just take that from the fans' move. I'm not bothered about statisticians here or anything. I'm just taking it from the fans that's tweeted about him, that I've done some translations on, that they actually thought he was a tidy player. So aye, no surprise there, because he is a tidy player. But again, it is sunny over there as well, and he comes back up the road to Rangers. And look, I know everyone's heard their saying Russell Martin now. Some people still didn't like it. I'm now fully on board Martin Ball because he is the manager, and I hope he does really, really well. But even Martin at his best can he change the weather and help the lad settle. But what might help him settle and what might get him to be the player we all thought we were getting a couple of years ago is Martin's standard and style of play. It's no bypassing, it's no long ball here, it's no long ball here. Being on a ball dominant side that he's going to get loads of touches, that he's going to be able to dictate, can that stability on the park will finally start bringing some stability off the park, and it will mesh, and we'll finally get to see the player Cifuentes could be in a Rangers team, because there's no more excuses anymore. You know what I mean? Oh, it's raining and that, mate. Buy an umbrella. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one here anymore. The footballing standard is drastically improved under Russell Martin, and I'm saying that despite not seeing him kick a ball yet or manage a ball at Rangers. But again, he's got a clear identity. We know how a Russell Martin style goes ahead and plays, so we know what it'll be. There isn't any more excuses for Cifuentes. Are we finally going to be able to unlock him, or will be another Eduardo Herrera where we chuck him out on another loan and then another loan and another loan, hoping eventually somebody buys him? It's an interesting one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm not expecting Cifuentes to be a star. But again, if Martin says every club he's went into, somebody's really shocked him and surprised him, it could be Cifuentes, because there is a talent in there, and you just never know if Martin Ball can get out from. What you need to know, he is just 26 years old. He has a contract to 2027, and he is on some decent money. So a decision needs to be made for the gaffer, Cifuentes, and probably Kevin if he is have to shift him on, because again, this new structure in place and the way Kevin has operated the majority, I didn't expect to see these mere stupid loans where we end up paying half their wages and we're paying somebody to go ahead and play them whilst we're still paying their wages. I'm expecting a decision to be made this summer that's either sink or swim, or get in or get out, and Cifuentes is the first in on that list, is clearly he's another guy. Next one up, however, is a centre back, ladies and gentlemen, who comes on the back of a fantastic season in which he defended really, really well. It can't be a Rangers player, can it? Well, it can. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about none other than Ben freaking Davies. That's right, Davies was loaned out the back door to the cheers of many, and what he done is he went down to Birmingham, helped to win the league and become a starter and a spine in that team, and one of the main reasons they were so absolutely dominant in League One. And this one for me is much more plausible than the likes of Cifuentes. Again, I felt like it was important to mention, but do I see it completely turn around? It's very, very unlikely. But you're looking at Ben Davies, you're looking at the state, and I mean state, of your centre-back spot, and you talk about the lack of depth and the lack of quality and the lack of ability back there. Well, if you come on the back of the fantastic season he's had, playing at the level he's had, finally finding confidence in his ability once again, could he maybe dive into that backline who, right now, we have Suter, we have Proper, and we have Nisala. You know what I mean? I know we've got Leon King there, but it looks very, very unlikely for young Leon. I think there's maybe another potential loan in him just to try and find that confidence that was knocked out of him because he was poorly managed a few years ago. Because Balogun's gone, you know what I mean? Connor Cody this, all this stuff, all these big wages we could potentially be talking about. Well, there is somebody right there who could, and I mean could, fit Martin's style, because Martin likes his centre-backs being able to play with the ball at his feet, pick some passes and be able to step up and play some killer balls. Have a wee Google of Ben Davies, see what they're saying about him, see what the Birmingham Live, see what all the guys, all the fan accountants down there talk about Davies' passing ability. This one is much more plausible, and I could potentially see it working out very well under Russell Martin. And again, if he is going to be able to turn somebody around, and it does turn his Rangers career around, it could genuinely be Ben Davies, because our back line is embarrassing. And I know this one isn't a popular one, but again, we're here to talk about the facts, and the facts are Davies was excellent in his time at Birmingham City, playing a total of 45 games in all competitions, and his season was a joke. The way they strolled the league, the way they dominated teams, he was a vital cog in that machine, from building up from the back to actually defending, you know what I mean, getting some Defender of the Year chants and shouts from them down south and all that, as well as they won the league by 9 points. The other ridiculous 53 goal difference, and he was only involved in 3 defeats with him in the backline in terms of league football. That's a success. That's a truly successful loan. You know what I mean? We talk about how great Czerny was with the goals and assists, It was a clear, phenomenal loan for Czerny. Well, you have to look at it from the same perspective of you've just loaned a defender there, and he's dived in to the back line. He's became a vital cog in their machine, and he has been brilliant defensively and helping them build in. Ben Davies has been just as successful in the back line as some of our most successful loans are on the other way. And that right there is surprising. And you know, now that I think about it, the success that Davies has had out on loan does bring up one important question. What are loans even for? Like, genuinely, is it just to try and get rid of a player because we didn't want to see them again, chuck them to a club to hopefully lull them into going ahead and buying them because we never want to see them pull on the Rangers shirt again? Which is a play I think we call from a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It's something what I think we use loans for a lot. Or is it just to try and get a player away from a bad situation, to put him somewhere else so he can start building himself back up and hopefully find that spark that was previously there because we bought them for a reason, to try and help them get back to their best so they come back to this football club better than they left it the last time. If it's the latter, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Davies has done every little thing he possibly can to be given another chance at that embarrassing backline at Rangers. He's done everything he possibly can and more, in my opinion, with the success that he's had out on loan. And if he is heavily featured in these friendlies, if he is becoming an important part under Russell Martin, am I gonna be a surprise? Nah, because the guys went ahead and earned the right to be given another opportunity. But as fair as I am trying to be in this video, because not everybody on the list that I actually believe's got a real chance. Again, everyone's got a 1% chance, you can argue, but there's more than others, and you'll see that as the list goes on. But you look at Davies and think, yeah, he's certainly got a fighter's chance, but there is 3 things, in my opinion, that's gone ahead against him. One of them, as his age, being 29 years old, which isn't old, you know what I mean? It's no Football Manager or FIFA or anything like that, but in terms of his age right now, his stock hasn't been this high since we bought him years ago because of how well he's done at Birmingham. And right now, if you're going to pull the trigger and sell him, it's right now, because again, that stock is on the rise. 2 is the fact that his contract runs out in 2026, so if we didn't sell him this summer, and if we didn't give him a new deal, which does seem mad to think about even giving him a new deal considering how his Rangers careers went overall, but if we didn't, we lose him for buttons in January if we sell him in January, or teams can go ahead and sign him for free, and that's a player we invested a hell of a lot in, leaving the back door again for none, which is something the club told us wouldn't be happening any longer, and players won't be allowed to run their contracts out. Well, there's a big decision. And the third and final one, despite as fair and balanced as I'm trying to be on Ben Davies, despite him getting back to confidence, despite him looking like a very tidy centre-half, again, there is several things, in my opinion, that he'll never really be able to fix, and that is his inability to get up there and bully lone strikers. He doesn't relish the physical. You know what I mean? A lot of his playstyle now meshes with the way Martin wants his centre-backs. But Martin also likes fast, athletic centre-backs that can get up there and win 1v1 duels. And like him or loathe him, unfortunately Ben Davies has never shown his ability to go ahead and do that. And I think the third one is the final bullet. And I think it will be a decision that everyone sits around and says, he's a very, very tidy player, but we bomb people forward. We need this type of centre back, and it doesn't tick all the boxes. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, I think those will be the three final nails in the coffin. But again, we'll wait to see. You just never know with this football club. He's done brilliant on loan, and fair play to him gone there and playing as well as he did. If he does get a chance, he certainly earned it. But myself personally, I never see him being that starlet at the back line and that star in the back line, unless we have somebody next to him that is that bully that can then bring a partnership. But the way we're built the new, just doesn't look right. And I'll be honest, the player that I'm about to speak about does make me as angry as I feel when I think he's Cyril Dessers on occasion for the exact same reason, and you know what that is. But Kieran Dowell is a 27-year-old player who's just played 23 games in all competitions for Birmingham, in which he done bits on occasion, playing both centre mid and on the right, and even in the 10 position. He went ahead and finished with 23 games, 5 goals and 5 assists, averaging a goal or assist just over 1 and a bit games. Why can they never do that when they're here? An attempt to try make an excuse to say, oh, it's League One, that's why they're playing well, but we play in Scotland. Man, have you seen 90% of this league's budget? Do you see the money that they've got to spend compared to League One? League One's actually got more money for the majority of these teams, so I can't make that excuse. The only thing I will say, ladies and gentlemen, his eye-watering stats in terms of his goals are greatly benefited from the fact that he was on penalty kicks. And again, I'm trying to contain myself, but what I will say, ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to see he's able to take penalty kicks in League One for Birmingham, but when the time comes to take a penalty in a cup final versus Celtic, he's hiding behind a goalie and a left back. One day I will get over it, hopefully, because you shouldn't have that hate in your heart, but a day, ladies and gentlemen, right? But Kieran Dowell done very well at his time at Birmingham. Again, a lot of people are surprised that there wasn't genuine interest in him. The only player that seems to have interest to them being kept on, or at least what's getting drummed on doing by their fans, is the one Ben Davies. Left-footed centre-back, plays the role, already has the partnership, he's apparently ready to go, right? That's what they want. Kieran Dowell, despite playing well, is just sort of like, yeah, he was good. Like, that's the way it is, and that is a wee bit of worry, ladies and gentlemen. But again, he is able to play various positions. He can play as a centre, he can play as a 10, he can play on the wing. He's shown it again at Birmingham, so that might suit Martin's ability of being able to move players elsewhere and want him to do this and do that. It could give Kieran Dowell a wee peek behind the door at his Rangers career, but again, he is another guy, but I consider that door slammed shut, in my opinion, despite everything we've said so far in the video, just because of the way he is, the wage he's on. I think that'll be one that's identified by Kevin. That needs sorted immediately. And just like Ben Davies, he has just a year left to go in his deal. Now he is just 27 years old, which almost seems like a surprise as he does look a wee bit older. No offence, Mr. Dowell, but 27 with a year to go and a massive wage. I think that's three things that even a player playing at his best ability can go ahead and overcome, because for damn sure he's not getting a new deal. Ladies and gentlemen, knowing the wages he's at, so unless he's willing to accept a pay cut. But that is it for him. I'm going to keep that one short and snappy, because I don't really think he's got much of a chance of turning his Rangers career as much of a chance as Ben Davies. So we're moving on right away to talk about someone else that is very, very hit and miss, and someone else that drives us crazy. And that is, of course, none of that than Rabbi Matondo, who is just 24 years old, by the way. Still has a lot of football ahead of him, still has a lot of development ahead of him, and could still potentially become a good player, which is going to play in his hands, by the way, because if you look at this Rangers team right now, name the fast players. Don't worry, I'll wait. Name the players that can take people on in the wide areas. Don't worry, I'll wait. So there is a gap in there, and when Rabbi is at his best, that is two things he is capable of doing, as he's shown it overall in his career. But unfortunately for his Rangers career, he's nowhere near showed it enough. I mean, even during his redemption era where he started to look like a player, it ended up being more Linsanity than insanity. You're welcome for that reference, as he soon reverted back to type, which was very hit and miss and very injury prone, which again, you just can't build anything around because you just don't know what he's going to be at any given time. Now, if you want to try and make excuses and if you want to try and look at it fairly, has he ever had real consistency when he's been at Rangers? Nah, there's been numerous managers, numerous play styles, and it has been all up in the place. So you could make that argument for him. But what I would say is, he's no got what the other free players, especially Ben Davies, has had over the last year. That is a successful loan built on to say, look, there is a player in there. Rabbi went on loan to the second division in Germany, and despite scoring a brilliant goal in his debut that got everybody talking, immediately, and I mean immediately, fell apart. After grabbing the goal coming on from the bench, he ended up getting 2 starts in a row, and both of those starts he was ripped off, and after 60 minutes for not being able to beat a man or create anything. And that was it for Hanover. That was it for the second division of German football. He never got another start after that because they says he's no what we need, and then he sort of plundered about 5 minutes here, 8 minutes here, barely getting an opportunity to play again as they had seen enough. I mean, of the last 4 games, he was on the bench and unused substitute in 3 of the last 4 games. The only anomaly in that 4 was a game he wasn't even selected for, ladies and gentlemen. So he's no got what the other guys have got. He never played well last year like a Cifuentes. He never played well like Dowell, and he never played great, I'd argue, like Ben Davies. So what has Rabbi Matondo done really on loan to fight for his Rangers career? If you want to be blunt about it, very little. So it's a big call from Martin. That pace, that directness in training apparently does look very good. But I remember somebody saying Brandon Barker was the best trainee at Man City, and see how that turned out. That pace can be alluring, that pace can be addictive to look at, but if there's very little end product at the end of it, what's the point of all that running? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. This one for me is very much up to the club. This guy, again, has very little time left on his contract as he does go a year left. Again, the only thing you could argue is he's got very little interest in him right now. There's very little market, so you're not going to make any real money based on him. So do you keep him and hoping he can turn it around, and in 6 months, if he does turn it around, you slap him with a new deal, then you protect that value? Or do you take the pennies that will potentially get chucked at him because of how little he's played, with only just the wee lure? Oh, he's really fast and direct on occasion to lure potential suitors. It's a big call from the club, and I'm very interested to see what you do with Rabbi Matondo. We do not have any pace at all in our team. Is he worth keeping to see if he can eventually kick on under Russell Martin? Now there is this much more stable environment to see if he does end up being a very good Rangers player, or at least earn some money for the football club. Big call needed in the summer. What would you do? Now, last but not least is a very interesting one, right? And again, he is peak other guy, because everyone's talking about Dessers, everyone's talking about Eggman, but there's somebody sitting there in the middle, the complete forgotten man, and he shouldn't be based on the money we spent on him, the money he's on, and the contract that he's got. It is none other than Danilo. And I know this one might seem like the easiest one out the lot. You might be screaming at, just sell him, just get rid of him. It's no worked out at Rangers, and that's fair, ladies and gentlemen. He's not ended up being the player we all hoped and prayed he would be when he was signed not too long ago. But again, a couple of things has went against him during his Rangers time. His body, for one, as he has picked up a couple niggling injuries. He has been broken in half several times to cause some of these injuries, by the way. A lot of people overlook and forget. One of them was a shocking challenge versus Hearts that put him out for a couple of months, and the iron was getting his face smashed in, so it's not exactly his fault. The physicality has took him out for that type of thing. But again, he's another one that's just been bypassed with the way we've played football for the last year and a bit. Long ball football, punt the ball up the park, is that ever going to suit a player of Danilo's ability? No, it never has, right? Despite a bright little spot, despite Clement stumbling on to Son when Danilo and Egeman, with Danilo being able to link the ball and play with it, despite it looking good. Clement never wanted that. He wanted long balls. He wanted the lone striker up there getting balls pummeled to him constantly. That's what he wanted, and that was never going to be Danny. But we talked about it several times, and I apologise. I know it might seem, oh, here he goes, mention it again. But Martin's got a clear philosophy and clear style of football, and that's to play football. It's a lot of little touches up top. It's playing with the back to goal. It's linking up play here. It's moving from position to position. It's not being static and being a cone standing in the middle. He wants his striker to come out here. He wants his striker to create gaps. And if you think of Danilo when he's at his very, very best, that's exactly what he is. That's the exact type of profile. And I think if Danilo wasn't at this club right now, right, and he was having the career that he had previously to Rangers at Feyenoord, and if we made a video looking at Danilo, every single one of us would sit and say, that's a Russell Martin player. I see why we're signing him. That's the exact type of player we need to fit Martin's style. Well, he's here, ladies and gentlemen. So would it surprise me to see him eventually, finally break through the mould and become a player for Rangers? Nah, it wouldn't. The boys' goal contributions have been pretty impressive so far, with 9 and 19 games in terms of the league, 11 and 28 overall in last season. But again, that was garbage minutes. That was getting just bypassed with long ball actually being a focal point, being able to dictate the tempo, be able to dictate the game. Could we eventually see the player we thought we were going to say? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. And Danilo has a couple of things gone for him, not gone against him. One of them is obviously his contract, and that's the biggest one, you know what I mean? It's to 2028. That's, man, he's still got 3 years left. He's played 2 years barely kicking a football. He's still got 3 to go, so there's still a lot in there. So if we're trying to punt him to teams, that's money right there that we need to get back. That is there really a market for Danilo right now because he has barely played? Nah. No, really. So we're going to accept a massive, massive loss just to kick him out the door? That seems short-sighted. That seems like the previous board. That seems like the same failings of our previous regime. Ladies and gentlemen, this short-sighted, just chuck him out, accept that. 1.5 million for Lammers and Cantwell and all that crap. How badly we've been run. Kevin doesn't strike me as a guy that would go ahead and accept that nonsense to run much longer. It's holding value. It's getting players to the right selling point too, then selling. For me, Danilo is another one that screams that right there as well. Again, he's no, on the other side, he's no hitting veteran that. He's 26 years old, still got plenty of time to do that. He's missed arguably a last year and a half due to injuries, hit and miss here and there. Now he's got a manager that's going to play his style of football, that's going to suit him. He's already got that relationship with Egeman, if we're keeping Egeman beyond the summer. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, this is a player that is another guy, but could be the guy in about 6 months' time, if he is given an opportunity. But now that I've done the big build-up, I look forward to seeing him sold or loaned out in the next couple months. And with that being said, that's us sort of done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's not the biggest clickbaity topics with the biggest players at our club, but I feel like we've talked about them enough throughout the last 6 months in detail, so I didn't want to just keep hammering home talking about the exact same subjects. There is other guys to talk about. There is forgotten guys in and around the club. Forgotten for a reason, and that's probably fair in there. But again, with Russell Martin opening the door and saying every player at Rangers has the opportunity to impress them and change the Rangers' career, there's always somebody that surprised them. That got the old grey-haired noggin percolating. That got me thinking. And those were 5 names that I thought was worth mentioning, having a conversation, just to see what you're thinking down there in the old comment section below. Now, I know the videos have been a bit sparse recently, and there hasn't been as many, and there is a lot of rumours out there, and there is a lot of stuff getting said about this guy, we're liking this guy, and I get there is that excitement, but again, until I get to a point where I feel like there is actually something in it, I try no to bring it to you right here in the channel. And if there is stuff that I think there is something in, we'll talk about it right here on the channel. But I'm not getting old and lazy just yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure I'll be seeing you very, very soon with some very excited topics. But I just wanted to throw a wee curveball at you just to talk about it. But I don't know if there is going to be anybody even watching today's video, because it's not that crazy. But if you don't mind, let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. That would be sensational. But as always, I've been CJ over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.